Hello, Pilhados and Pilhadas of our Brazil and whole world. We're very happy with our first international interview. Almost 40 years making nice music and make the people headbang with her songs. The amazing Letter Leone. It's my pleasure to make this interview. So happy that you accept and thank you so much.
Oh my God, of course, you guys. All of you that appreciate my music after 127 years, as I say, I'm very grateful I'm grateful to be here also. So hi.
Thank you. Before we can start the interview, I'd like to ask who's watching, subscribe to our channel in YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. That help us a lot to making this interview achieve a whole new public. And thank you so much. Leather, I'd like to know about the beginning of your career in early 80s and how do you start to become a singer and which was your reference at that time?
I always sang, just because I was always the show off in school. I couldn't sing, but I was always the one that would go, hey, look at me, look at me. And then I started singing in my Catholic church. I was raised very Italian Catholic. And my church had a really cool choir. We sang like Fleetwood Mac and Led Zeppelin. Anyway, and I started singing in musical theater. And again, I don't think that I was very good, but I was the one that had the balls to do it. And then, I was always kind of singing, but I didn't really know what to do. And then I moved to California and I auditioned for the band Rude Girl. And then they introduced me and I met Dio in Sabbath. And when I heard that metal gravity of sound, that's what I had to do. So I was a late bloomer to metal, the early 80s. And I was like, that's what I have to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that song, especially when Dio became a lead singer of Black Sabbath, it was amazing. Amazing.
Crazy.
I like a lot Ozzy Osbourne, but Dio.
Well, it's like the Prince and the King, right? I mean, we know Ozzy was a foundation, but Dio, anything he did, it just went up another level. He was a king. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and for I think in whole world, Dio is considered the king of the singers of heavy metal.
There's nobody better. I mean, even if you don't like him, technically you have to listen to it. And I try to stay away from technical stuff, but I mean, and I got to tell you, I hung out with him quite a bit, and I saw him on his worst vocal nights where he was really hurting. And he would just go out there and wail. And that's the part of his great talent too. You can't tune our vocal cords. Sometimes we have bad days. And he kind of taught me, I would watch him. He taught me how to dodge and how to drop octaves. And so, yeah, he was amazing. I miss him on this planet very much.
Yeah. Leather, talking about your latest record was We Are the Chosen. I like, as we said before starting the interview, I like the album because it's very aggressive and also because it have original songs and melodies. And I'd like to know how was the process of composing and recording the songs, especially Always Been Evil, We Are the Chosen, and Dark Days, because these three songs was my favorite tracks in the album.
Really?
Yeah.
Vinny's too. Look, I was on this roll in Brazil and then COVID hit. Everything fell apart. And Vinny texts my guitar player. He was kind of the only one that stood by me. And we were like, hey, let's try to write a record. I don't know, can I write a record? And we were always butting heads because he was just so into melody. But we just found this synchronicity that we had about writing songs. And we had COVID. We had 2.5 years to write songs. So he taught me, to write a song and let it breathe, because for me, it's not easy to write. Things have to breathe and I have to figure it out. So by the time we got into Hertz Studios in Poland, we were very, very well prepared. And again, it taught me a lot. You need to take your time. And he really challenged me about like my lyrical oh my God, I get so pissed when I even think about it. It was like this, but I think he got the best out of me. And he was such a supporter of my vocals. And we were talking about before, melody. He wants melody. He doesn't care about shredding. He wants a melody around me. So the process was long, but we had a lot of time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to take that much time again, because look at me, I can't even stand still. So, But we had a lot of time, and he taught me a lot. And he's a good songwriter. Vinny is a good songwriter. He was just waiting to find someone to write songs with, and I was that person, so it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like because my favorite song in the record was "Dark Days" because it's so
yeah, great solo on that song. Yes,
it's so aggressive. Have a great solo, and the vocal lines are great, and that song just blew me off.
Thank you.
Was an amazing song.
Yeah, well, it ended up being one of my favorites too. Yes.
Yeah. Talking about your solo career, your first solo album was Shockwaves, and your second solo record, Leather Two, came almost 20 years later in 2018. Why it took so long?
Well, this is my thing. I never considered myself a solo artist. Shockwaves just happened as an opportunity. There was a label that was trying to get David to do For Those Who Dare. And I know I was always bitching that I wasn't big enough. So I'm sure he said, let her do a record. Like I said, they did nothing with it. I don't consider myself a solo artist. And then when I started going to Brazil, doing all this Chastain stuff, me and the guys were like, let's just write. Let's just try to write. So Leather 2 came together really, really fast. It's just something that happened. I mean, I was by myself. What was I going to do? I decided when I came back, I didn't want to not be part of the music scene. So I was all I had. So I guess now I'm a solo artist. Yeah. Weird.
But as like I said before the interview starts, Shockwaves, as compared the albums at that time, aging so very well because the drum sound is organic.
Yeah.
The guitars is not so synthesized like that time that everybody was.
Oh, no, not happening. I had trouble with the few keyboards that Chastain put on the record. Yeah. I don't even really remember. Chastain probably Road Racer ended up mixing that. But again, it sounds really good. I can't listen to most things that I've done in the past, but I can still listen to Shockwaves. It's a good, solid, no frills record. And that's what I do, dude. I'm not Halford with all these wild screams or arch enemy with these girls. I'm just a straight ahead metal singer, and I have to accept it. And that's what I do. And that's a good record to promote that.
It passed the test of time for me. Because some of the records at that time, like for example, using Kiss Crazy Nights, I think the songs are good, but the production was so terrible.
Yeah. Well, in the 80s, you either press the reverb button going through the tunnel, and you just or you just. I used to make fun. Okay, I'm out of key. Press the reverb button. Yeah, that sounds so great. I miss it.
And listening all your solo records, identify my perception how much your voice is aging better, and your music became more aggressive and evolving, became so more melodic. I'd like to.
It's interesting that you say that because I was always unhappy with the way the Chastain records were mixed. But in my ear, I always thought that my vocals were more aggressive. But when I was singing the Chastain records, I just let my voice flow. I kind of didn't work on anything in particular. I would just sing it. And the Chastain records were great, but I don't know. It just seemed like my voice got really into that arena rock, big clean sound, and I just wanted to be dirtier. As you can see in We Bleed Metal, I just wanted to be dirtier. As I've done now more in my solo records, I want to be dirtier, and it's something else that I talk with Vinny, my guitar player. He always kind of fights me on it. Oh my God, you have this great, big, beautiful voice of the cult vocals, but I really work on that. I want to be dirtier. I want it to be dirtier. So I'm trying to make an effort because, vocally I can do both. So I always argue with everybody in the studio about that, but thank you. I want to be more aggressive. My vocals, I want them to be more aggressive.
Yeah. And that point, you became part of an important moment of the heavy rock industry with Chastain making records for Shrapnel Records. I say that because most of the Shrapnel records, which came in Brazil influenced a huge part of the guitar players here in Brazil, especially Kiko Loureiro from Megadeth. He was influenced by that guitar in the beginning of his career, and being part of a band with shredder guitars and hard rock or heavy metal was almost a requirement. I'd like to know, looking back, the good memories making that kind of music.
Yeah, I can. Look, I was just so happy to be working with David Chastain because he was a higher end guitar player. But I used to look at him and go, do you realize that nobody even knows the notes that you're playing? Do you realize that? I don't know. I knew that it was a phase that we were in. And again, I was so in my bubble, dude. I kind of paid no attention. But I feel that I kind of held up my end because it was Chastain and everybody came to see him shred. But after years, I proved myself too. So I think it was a great team that we had. But I was stuck in that. I loved it at the time. I loved it. I mean, I love it now. I mean, like, again, I know it's amazing, but the normal layperson, I don't know what notes you're playing, you know? Yeah. But no, I loved it. I was glad to be part of it. I was glad that I could sing over it. It was just a great time. It was a great time. I wasn't sitting around, and I've analyzed it now that I'm older, but back then I was just like, let's play, dude.
Yeah, I say that because most of guitar players here in Brazil, when they start playing with 18 or 19 years old, they must achieve the higher level, like Malmsteen or Jason Becker or Greg Hall or Paul Gilbert, all guys, Marty Friedman, and all these guys was the main record label, Shrapnel Records, Chastain also too. And when the guitar players in Brazil in the 80s was playing heavy rock and heavy metal, they were trying to emulate all this kind of guys because it was a huge part of the influence of our music at that time.
Of course, yes.
And I think in whole world, so I think in the beginning of his career of that guitar players, they became influenced by that guys, and also they catching other influences. Like I know Kiko is a huge fan of Brazilian music, and other guys that make a career in the United States, like Matheus Assato, is a great guitar player that he plays melody lines perfectly, and he playing with Jason Mars. So it was very nice to see these guys evolving, but the fundamental stone of that sound they make today was with Shrapnel Records.
Right. Well, same thing with me. All the vocalists of that time influenced me. I mean, even as a vocalist, I mean, Dio, Dixon, and Tate are my guys. And people, you know, I mean, I know there are a lot of good females out there, but I just wanted to have balls and testosterone. So I think that was such a great time for metal. I can't imagine anybody that didn't take any influence from them. I mean, I was driving in my car today and I listened to early Dio and really early Dickinson, and I listened to Lamb of God and Ginger and Arch Enemy. You try to incorporate everything. But yeah, it was certainly a good basis. But I see now that the guitar players are slowing down, which I like. They'll go, and then da, 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 even on these extreme metal bands. So everything takes a big circle, right? But yeah, it was a major influence. And I think when we were doing it, that we were thinking about it. We just did it. And again, now that I'm older, I go, oh yeah, I stole that from Dickinson. Yeah. I stole so much stuff from these guys. But yeah, and again, it was really great to be part of it. Like I said, my band is really young. They're in their 30s. And I don't realize what I lived through. Like you guys go, oh my God, I was just there. I didn't, but now looking back, it's like, yeah, that was pretty freaking incredible. It was a great time.
Yeah.
And everyone was really, there was a huge camaraderie back then. Now it seems like it's really competitive. Back then, Metallica used to come to my shows and give me pointers. I mean, it was all love and respect back then. I don't think it's like that anymore.
Yeah. Seeing your whole career, do you have a specific moment that you consider the most challenging? Or
No, but probably my first record, when I went into record Mystery of Illusion with David Chastain, and I was so green, I didn't know what the F I was doing. And I was shaking my shoes, and I really just threw by the cuff of my pants. But no, I don't, I like challenges, and whenever somebody doubts me, I can step up for the challenge. But Mystery of Illusion was very scary, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I can't do it. And I would go into the studio. And he would have changed the whole melody, and I'd be like, "What?" So, yeah. But I got to tell you, by the end of Ruler of the Wasteland, I had it. Seventh and Never, by then I had it. But Mystery of Illusion is very frightening for me, because I got to tell you, I think like they all thought I had a good voice and they liked me, so I think they misinterpreted that for talent, and then I knew what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I would I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So it was really intimidating, really intimidating.
I think the first record for all people who making a record and searching the dream, it's the most challenging, because you don't know what to do, even if you're prepared to do the thing.
You don't know who you are yet. At least for me, I got to tell you, I kind of know who I am. Back then, I was just trying to be a tough motherfucker, I wanted to prove something. And I think that's something that you go through, but you have to learn to refine. But yeah, I didn't know who I was. I was just like, holy shit, this is David Chastain, Mike Varney. Okay. But that's what gives you your balls, It's like, I can do this. I'm going to suck, but I'm going to do it. Yeah, that record was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And how do you see the actual moment in the heavy metal for women compared when you start singing?
I got to tell you, everybody asks me that. And I think I have such an ego. I never noticed. You couldn't doubt me. You couldn't, you just couldn't touch me, because I knew that I could sing. And I tell this story all the time. I used to help the crew. I loved carrying guitars and drums and stuff. And people would go, oh my God, check out the chick. They have a chick roadie. And then I'd be like, yeah, why don't you hang out for sound check? And I think David Chastain protected me a lot. I think there were probably tours and stuff we didn't get because I was a chick. I didn't know anything about it. To me, if it didn't happen, I wasn't good enough on that day. I wasn't what they looked for. I don't hold that gender thing as an excuse. I wasn't good enough. Doesn't matter that I don't have a penis. I wasn't good enough. So I really don't have an answer to that. I mean, you couldn't touch me. I could sing better than you. So yeah. And especially now, I think you still hear the rattlings of it now, but I just have an ego. You can't touch me. Vocally, you can't touch me. So, whatever.
Yeah. Most of the women that I knew and I interview have the same kind of attitude. That's
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Because here in Brazil, it's so hard to women, even today, making your own band and playing and finding places to give.
Really?
Yeah, because in Brazil we didn't have a lot of clubs that people can start making music or performing music, because everybody here is trying to see Metallica and other huge bands.
Well, but it's always been like that. Crypta, they're my good friends. They're all over the freaking place now. I'm so proud of them. But it's kind of like that anywhere, and that's what I took it. You know what? If it's me and Metallica, they're going to go see Metallica. That's okay. I'm not going to stop. Yeah, and it's hard. I tell people you can't. You'll find out how hard it is. You will only continue to do this if it's something that you have to do. I mean, you can't do it to make money or be famous. It has to be something that you have to do. And I took off all that time, and I realized I'm supposed to. I have to do this. So, for the women out there, fuck them. Keep going, man. Go in the basement, write songs, keep singing, put on your blinders. Yeah. Nobody can mess with you. Nobody can mess with you.
Today here in Brazil, we have two amazing bands with only women. One of them is Crypta. And
I just saw them. I love them. I just hung out with them. Yeah.
Nervosa, the two bands is amazing. I saw concerts of both when they were playing for 20 or 30 people.
Of course, it happens to everybody. Yeah.
but here in Brazil, we don't have places anymore that we can see a band playing in front of you and accept that only 20 or 30 people
Yeah.
watch that. And it's very sad because I think in the band needs to prove yourself, and the main place where a band can prove yourself is the stage. So
I agree with you. So keep playing for those 20 or 30 people. It will change. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're making me think. I went to see Sting 100 years ago for like 10 people. Within a year, they were in arenas. So you can't. Yeah. And I know it gets discouraging, but you have to, if you have to do it, you have to do it. And I kind of don't think about the long and winding road. I just appreciate where I am now. But yeah, keep going. I tell people, just get good at your craft. Sing in a studio for a year. Figure out what your sound is. Just figure it out. You have to block everything out. Yeah.
And in the past, I was the guy who's trying to see the bigger bands. Now today, I like to see the smaller bands because it was a true feeling of music making real in front of you. Nothing against the bigger bands because
Of course, yeah, yeah.
because they achieve that kind of thing, but with his merit. So, but for me, I try to see what's the new stuff, what's the new thing that
Yeah, to
will
see
blow
the
my
origin
mind.
of see the origin of where they came from. Absolutely. See if they're trying, and believe me, we feed off you too. We feed off those 20 people. So I understand you. They're all big bands are great, but I want to see the younger people. I want to see what's happening. I want to see the people that haven't made it. And I have to tell you, everybody makes such a big thing about females because I was one of the few in the 80s. They were everywhere, dude. Nobody was paying any attention to them. When I started going to Brazil in 2014, the women were everywhere. People aren't paying attention to them, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah. And another question about the question that I made before. Could you imagine that you became a reference for many women and achieved so much respect in heavy metal?
It's really bizarre for me to even consider that. Like I said, I just hung out with Fifi from Crypta. I had met them a while ago. It's wonderful. If I could inspire anybody the way Dio and Tate inspired me, but it's weird for me. I mean, Fifi, she's like, oh my God, your voice is, it's wonderful. Again, I don't really, no, it's hard for me. Somebody even had a conversation with Hailstorm and she was saying the same thing, but it's beautiful. We are just here to inspire other people, but it's really weird. It's weird for me. Yeah.
Because not only female musicians, but also people who work in the industry. Here in my channel, I have a friend, Aline Costa, that she was when is trying to make this interview. She started to listen off your records, and she blows
Wow.
away, and it became a huge influence for her too.
Great. I mean, that's wonderful. And again, I so appreciate it, but I don't go there. But again, thank you to all of you. I hope I can inspire you to do anything, but I'm still on my journeys. I'm still trying to get better. I listen to myself and I'm like, really? I mean, I think I can be better, but isn't that what everybody does? But yeah, I'm very grateful and thankful. And if I can do anything, go for it. You listen to me and get inspired. Become who you are. Yeah, for sure. It's important. It's important.
Sure. And what we can expect for Leather Leone for the next months about concerts, touring, new records? You're planning that?
Actually, I have meetings all day after I talk to you. I got the big fest in Mexico, December 1st, Life After Death Horror Fest with all my friends, Doro, Vixen, Lita, we're all playing. And I'm working with shows around that. The whole COVID thing has really messed up the touring schedule for bands that they had to catch up. So they had to catch up at that big level. So now they're coming back to me. 2024 should be a really good year. I can't say anything yet, but I'm going to start in Mexico. I don't know. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. But leatherleone.com, stay there and it will all be there. But everything's still in the works, but I'll definitely be December 1st, Mexico City. You better come see me. But yeah, there's a lot happening.
Yes, so it's awesome. And record, are you planning to a follow-up for We Are the Chosen?
Oh, yeah. Vinny and I are already arguing about the new songs. Yes. Yeah, and again, he really wants to write songs, which is great. But yeah, we've already started doing demos. Yeah, I'm on a roll. And again, I'm older now, so I'm much more appreciative. When you're so young, you just go, oh, whatever, it'll happen later. Well, this is my later. So yeah. And I have a deal with SPV, so I think I have to keep making records. But yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. And if you could define yourself in one song, which song will you choose?
Does it have to be my song?
Yeah.
Probably Hallowed Ground. Hallowed Ground that we just put on We Are the Chosen. That's probably me. I like dramatic, dynamic, slow. Yeah, Hallowed Ground on We Are the Chosen. That's what I am. Yeah.
Leather, we're ending our interview now. So thank you so much for your time. And thank you a lot. Many gratitude to accept the interview, and you have all time to talk about what the fans can expect you and promoting your social media and all.
Yeah, leatherleone.com. You will find everything, or all my social medias, everything I'm doing, and I'm all over social media. Talk to me, I'll talk back. I'm on everything. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to meet you. Stay in touch, okay?
Okay. Of course. I will ask you your thing for Isa to trying to make contact. Okay?
Oh yes. You can talk to her at any time. And my email is on my social medias. Email me. It's all good.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Take care of yourself. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.